Welcome to Live DAF, your online DAF Yomi Shir.
Hello, Shalom Aleichem. Welcome back. Today's DAF is DAF Nun Beis. We are holding on Nun Aleph Amud Beis, right at the Mishnah, which is 4 lines off the bottom of the Amud. Okay, back to the sugya of Oina'ah. Just as we learned about refraining from overcharging and in general, cheating when it comes to the value of merchandise. Likewise, one is meant to be careful with the coins, the quality of the coins that he uses. Now, let's remember, in those days, they would actually use, precious metal coins, which had, a face value reflective of the metal content. Typically, it was reflective of the precious metal content of that specific coin. So if the coin is scraped off, rubbed out, likewise, damaged or whatever, it would be worth less. And depending on the extent of damage, it can be worth less. Okay? So at what point do we say you shouldn't be using that coin because it's missing too much of its actual material? So a bit rubbed off, par for the course. But if it's a bit more extensive than that, it's deemed to be actually missing value, in which case you're not, paying fair value for the item that you're buying. So just like when it comes to, overcharging or underpaying on merchandise, we have that shiur of a shtus up until a sixth, still, within reasonable territory. It's called mechila. Likewise, it says the Mishnah, "Kama tehi chasela chasera v'lo yehi ba'inah." How much can the sela? A sela is 4 dinarim, and as Rashi will give us the breakdown here. A sela is 4 dinarim. Each dinar is 6 ma'os. Each ma'os is 2 punjoinim. Each punjoin is 2 isarim. Various types of coin denominations. So the sela coin, the largest coin here, how much can be missing and still be considered fair value? Not beyond the Oina'ah red line. Rabbi Yehuda arba isaris. If a sela is missing in its material, it's missing 4 isaris worth of material. Isar ladina, 1 isar per dinar. So basically, it's going to be a 24th of the total, because each dinar has 24 isarin, and the sela has 4 dinarin. So if you're missing 4 isarin, you're basically missing a 24th of your sela, and that constitutes oina'ah when it comes to coins. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, no, it works with a 1 in 12 proportion. Arba punjoinos, punjoin l'dinar. So if the sela is missing 4 punjoin worth of material, which equals 1 punjoin per dinar, which Rashi says is a 12th of the entire content, then you're running into Oina'ah questions. Reb Shimon Omer, no, a 6th, just like by merchandise here as well, with Shmoine punjoinos. If it's missing 8 punjoinos in total, which is Shnei punjoinim l'dinar, 2 per dinar. Dinar is a 4th of the sela, so it's 2 per dinar, 8 for the total sela. That's Oina'ah. Rashi says shtus, that's a 6th. Kishar Oina'ah, like the other Oina'ah guidelines when it comes to the value of the merchandise. So when it comes to merchandise, it's a 6th, and over here we have three shitos: 6th, a 12th, and a 24th. And of course, the Gemara will explain why here we have a discussion of machlekes, and why is it different than the items mentioned until now, where you have until a 6th and no more. What's your deadline? What's your window of opportunity to come back and complain? So you received this coin, and you're going to come back and try to get it exchanged by the. Until what point? At what point do we say no? It's too late to come back. What's the refund window of opportunity? But Kracham, if you're living in a large city, it's enough time to go to the banker, the money changer, and examine the coin. But if you're living in a small town where you have no money changers, We give you until Erev Shabbos, when the market's open, and you can see whether people accept this coin. Ad Arvei Shabbosis. Now, if the fellow who paid this coin, recognizes this coin as a coin that he actually paid with, so then he should take it back even 12 months later. He should be willing to replace it even 12 months later. And the Gemara will tell us it's an act of piety, of chasidus, not really required or mandated. Now, if he refuses to take it back a year later, the fellow who got paid, the recipient, all he can do is complain and protest, but it doesn't really have halachic, recourse in this case. Now, a coin that's missing some of its material, can be used for maser sheni chilul, and no concern there, because ultimately, when a person refuses to take a coin which is a bit rubbed off, it's nefesh ra. It's a bad habit. It's a bad personality. It's not something that we commend, and therefore technically, the item is viewed as still to be legal currency, albeit by what they need to deduct, right? They need to deduct for its missing material, but it's still considered a proper coin. So it could be used for transfer of Maser Sheni onto that coin. Okay, now, in our Mishnah we say, Ad kama, right? Kama tehei asela chasera, v'lo yehi ba'ino. How much can it be missing without concern of Aino? There are many who have a kasha from a brisa, which seems to indicate that these numbers do constitute Aino. V'ramini ad kama tehei asela chasera, v'hei ba'ino. How much can the coin be missing? Meaning at what point? What's the cutoff point? At what point do we say you can't use this coin at face value? It's considered, Aino. And the Brisa proceeds to present these shiurim as per the Mishnah, but in a yes Aino context. Whereas now Mishnah seems to say that these amounts are not considered a problem. Amra Papa Lekasha. The answer is like this. Of course. These amounts that are missing, let's say, the sixth. Of course, that's too far over. That's too much. That's how you know. There's no machlekes. The Mishnah and the Brisa are just differing in the way they're presenting their numbers. But of course, ultimately, they're all saying the same thing. That these proportions are considered Aino. Tana didam kechoshev mamata lamalo. Our Mishnah starts from the bottom up. Okay, so you have a seller. It's missing a bit. It's missing a bit more. Until what point is it considered okay? Until it gets to a sixth. And at that point, a sixth is Aino. Tana bara kachashem mal lamata. Whereas, right, so our Mishnah is saying, look, you're missing a bit, you're okay. You're missing a bit more, you're okay. Right? Until what point is it not Aino? Until you get to the sixth, at that point, Aino kicks in. Tana bara, but the Brisa that we just mentioned, kachashev malalam lamata. He's starting from the top, going down to the bottom. Right? So let's say you have a seller, it's missing a ton. Or just a little bit less than a ton, or even a little bit less. Until and including the sixth, you got Aino. But less than that is okay. So basically they're saying the same thing, just coming from different directions. Now comes the question. Why these various opinions in our Mishnah? Something we didn't have until now. Maishna Besela, the Pligi. Why do we have this disagreement in terms of the Aino amount by the coins? Is it a sixth, 12th, or 24th? Maishna Betalas Pligi. When it comes to a garment or an article of merchandise, there's no discussion. All agree. Aino constitutes a sixth. Amarava Mantana Talis Reb Shimon. You're right. The Mishnahs until now, which pegged Aino by a garment, by a talis, as being a sixth, that's Reb Shimon's Shita in our Mishnah. Now likewise, when it comes to missing coins, it's also a sixth. But of course, the other opinions disagree there too. 12th, 24th. Abaya Omar no. No, all agree when it comes to a talis ajtus. Why? Talis ajtus machalinish. When it comes to a garment or merchandise, up until a sixth, the person just, forfeits that. The Amri Inshi, as people say, be willing to overpay for something valuable. Oshik, pay more expensive, l'gabeich, to cover your back. V'shava l'kreisich, when it comes to food, pay as per value, fair value. So bottom line, when you buy things of importance, you sometimes tend to overpay, and you're willing to do so. But when it comes to a coin, look, Sella, given the loisagale, if I can't use it in the market, the bank's not going to take it from me. I'm not moicha for that. So here the disparity is much smaller. Once it gets to a point where the money will not go over properly, then you've cheated me. Let's go back to the halacha. Ad kamate hasela chasera v'heba eino. Until what point is there no? So this was the brisa, right? And we said that the brisa is going from top to bottom. It's missing a little bit less. Until what point it is still a no. Rameir says 4 isaris to the seller, which is 1 isar ladina, which is a 24th, as we said in the Mishnah. So these are the same opinions as the Mishnah, 24th, according to Rameir. Rabbi Yehuda to 12th, Dal Pudyonis Punyan Ladina, Rabbi Shimon to 6th, Shmoyne Pudyonis Shne Punyan Ladina. Yasser al Kain. Suppose it's missing more than this, Meicher B'Shavya. So you can sell it at face value. The Gemara soon will explain what this means. Ad kamati poches yehei rasha lekaima. Here comes a new question. Fine, it's been chipped, it's been scraped, it's been rubbed out. I'm not going to pretend that it's a coin in mint condition. I'm not going to demand face value. I'll deduct for the damage, right? But even that's problematic if it gets too much. So at what point do we say you can no longer hold on to the coin? Ad kamati poches, how much could it be missing yehei rasha lekaima, and you can still hold on to the coin? And there's no, room for misleading people, confusing people. Besela at shekel. So you have the sela, and if it's been rubbed out until it got to the size of a shekel, which is a half a sela, you're still okay, provided you deduct for that, missing material. But you can still, use it as per its actual value. But once it gets past a shekel, past its halfway point, it's been rubbed out past the 50% mark, you can no longer use it. Why, says Rashi? Because, since a sela is a large, hefty type of coin, so even though it got rubbed out, now it's the size of a shekel, people won't necessarily notice. Right? Because when it gets rubbed out more than a shekel, even less and less and less, because it was very large and wide to begin with, it doesn't look like it's missing anything in the shekel. Because it was very substantial to begin with. So people might mistake it for a full shekel. That's a problem. So this is a new problem, misleading people. So up until a shekel, it looks like a rubbed out sela. But once it gets lower than a shekel, people will think, oh, this is a shekel, because it's basically almost the same size as a shekel, and they'll just treat it as face value, which is a problem. They'll treat it as face value of a shekel, even though it's really rubbed out past the shekel point. And the same thing with a dinar. A shekel is 2 dinar, and a dinar is comprised of 2 half dinars. So basically the next denomination is a half dinar. So there as well, if it's going to get rubbed out to that point and past that point, people will mistakenly think this dinar is a half dinar, and even though it's really rubbed out past the half dinar, they'll treat it as a dinar, a full dinar. But dinar adreva, until a quarter. The Gemara soon will tell us it means a quarter of a shekel, which is a half a dinar. So it's basically at past the 50% mark of this respective coin. Pachis mikan isar asr. If it goes past that point, even if it's missing an isar worth, you can no longer use it. And more later we'll explain what this means as well. So this problematic, misleading coin should not be kept around. He shouldn't pass on this coin to a dealer, or a violent fellow, a guy who's going to force people to take it, like a harag or a murderer. They'll use it to mislead people and trick people. Rather, use it as an amulet, as a souvenir, and you're safe. You should drill a hole into it and hang it over around his son or daughter's neck. Let's go back to the halacha we just mentioned. Besela at shekel, bedina at reva. So when the seller degenerates past the 50% mark, past the shekel, you can no longer hold on to it. The same thing with a dinar. Ma'ishna b'selat shekel. So let's take these words literally. When it comes to a selah, up until the shekel point, which is a half a selah, up until 50%, you're still okay, again, provided you deduct for that missing material. But past the shekel, people won't realize that it's a worn out shekel. They'll look at it like a full shekel because it's so substantive looking. It's so substantial, it looks so big and hefty because it came from an original selah. So, ma'ishna b'selat shekel. Why is it that when it comes to a selah, we go, okay, till a shekel you're safe, 50% you're okay. Well, ma'ishna b'dinar adreva. But when it comes to a dinar, we say you have until a quarter of the dinar to be okay. What do you mean? At that point, is room for a lot of confusion if it's so small and rubbed out. People will think that it's that coin that I mentioned, the half dinar. Amar Abaye, no, you're making a mistake. My roiva detani nami roiva shekel. A dinar can be rubbed out until roiva means until its halfway point. We call it a roiva because a shekel has 2 dinarim, a dinar has 2 halves. So a half of a dinar is called a quarter of a shekel. But it's really the same point. It's the halfway point. Amrova de economy. If you look at the wording of the Brisa, it's clear that we're speaking about this point. The Kotani Roiva. The Brisa says a dinar until a Roiva. Roiva means a certain type of a coin, a Roiva of something else. Like Tani Rivia, it doesn't say a quarter of this. A dinar can be rubbed down until a quarter of a dinar. That's way too far gone. Shmamina, so it's clearly referring to a Roiva of a shekel, which is a half of a dinar. So it's consistent. When the coin goes up until the halfway point, you're still okay with it. Because as we said, you'll deduct for that missing material. People won't confuse it. Won't mix it up with another coin. But once it gets past the halfway point, so by the sell-off, it's rubbed out past the shekel point, it's down to 40% of its original meat. And people might confuse it for a shekel because, like we said, it was very, substantive looking before. It was a selah, it was big and hefty. So now people won't realize that it's really a rubbed out shekel. They'll think it's a full shekel because they're not accustomed to seeing this type of a shekel. So they'll think, oh, it's a perfect shekel. Really, it's much less. Same thing with the dinar going past 50%. But the question is, why did the Brisa choose to use terminology which make reference in proportion to the shekel? We're speaking about a dinar which is rubbed out. Why go back to the shekel and relate it back to the shekel? Why relate the dinar back to the shekel? The Brisa here is teaching us something, by the way. The Ika dinar, the asim is shekel. That if a shekel deteriorated to its halfway point and it became a dinar, you can use it. So basically, we're learning that the dinar and the shekel have a relationship, because if the shekel deteriorates and loses its value, you can use it up until and including its 50% mark, which basically turned it into a dinar. And that's a right to Rav Ami. Masayel Rav Ami. Dom Rav Ami dinar abami shekel mutal kaimai. If a shekel now shrunk into a dinar, basically lost 50% of its value, but it still has a dinar worth of material, basically it's 50% mark, that's okay. You can still use it as a dinar. But dinar habam is selah, so l'kaima. But let's say it was a selah and went all the way down, it lost 75% of its value. It's now looking like just a dinar. Then you shouldn't use it, as we explained before, because since it's coming from this large size coin, people might not realize that it's just a dinar. It still looks a bit more hefty than a dinar. They'll mistaken it for misidentified for a shekel, and that's a mistake. Okay, so bottom line is, if you have a coin that's nice and new, you're great. If it's missing some of its material, it's been rubbed out and scraped off, so within reasonable limits, you're okay. What's considered past reasonable? So we have 3 shitas: 24th, 12th, or 6th. Now, if it's gone past that point, you have to account for it. You have to deduct for that. And if it's gone way past that point, past the 50% mark, then you're concerned about confusion, and we no longer allow you to use it at all. So this was the next part of the brisa there. If it's missing a bit more than this, even if it's past this point, just an isser past this point, you can't use it. My comment, what does the brisa mean to say? What does the brisa mean by that? I mean, if you've gone past the red line, even a drop, you're in trouble. Amar Abaye means like this. Right? So the kasha was, we said that if it goes to the, gets to the 50% mark, that's it. Past that even a drop is a problem. So why does the brisa say if it went an isser past that, it's a problem? What do you need an isser? Amar Abaye means like this. He's going back to the original halacha of Eino, 6th, the 12th, right? Isser, if it got a little bit past the Eino point, an Issa worth of material is missing past the Eino, past the 6th, then it's Asr, you can't use it. You can't pretend that it's a full coin. You have to deduct for that missing material. Hamalei Rava, why? Even a drop over Eino, even a drop past the red line, you're no good. Even a drop is a problem. Elama Rava, no, it means like this. The brisa is simply stating Rabbi Meir's shita, that Eino is an Isser, a 6th, right? The brisa here is reflecting Rabbi Meir's shita. If the full seller went missing a bit, 1 Isa worth per dinar, which is a 6th. Sorry, not a 6th, a 24th, as we had in the Mishnah, right? That's called Eino. But anything less than that is not Eino. It's not also. We have a Mishnah over there, Mesach Skela. Sela Shenifsel. You have a Sela, a coin, which is out of circulation. Vizkina, and he designated it to be used as a weight. Sheishaykel b'mishkalis. Tmeya. It is not considered like a kli, like a utensil, and is open for susceptible to tumah. At kamati poches, yehi rasha lekaima. How much can the coin be missing, and you will still be able to hold on to it, without concern of confusing people, misleading people, cheating people? So this corresponds to our previous discussion. L'sela shnei dinarim. If the selah went down 50%, a selah has 4 dinar. If it's down 2, it's at its halfway point, you can still hold on to it. Pachas mikan. If it's past that point, yakoitz, you got to cut it up. You got to chop it up. Yosr al kein mai. Let's say it's more, meaning it's not missing 50%. It's holding before 50% yet. So let's say it's missing a 6th. It's a no. You have to deduct for that discrepancy. Okay, I'll do that. But there's another point, right? When it gets to, past that 50% mark, we're concerned that it might be mixed up with a different coin, might be misidentified, like we said before, and people won't realize that it's a rubbed out coin, and they'll treat it as a full valid coin, right? Full value coin. But let's say it's between a 6th and 50%. So it's not yet come to 50%. What happens there? Can I hold on to it? Yosser, you have to chop it up. It's dangerous to hold on to it. We'll see why. Rabbi Ami pachas mekan yakutz. Yosser al ken yikayim. So if one says pachas mekan yakutz, yosser al ken yakutz. Whether it's below 50%, above 50%, you have to destroy it. Rabbi Ami no. Pachas mekan yakutz. If it's missing more than 50%, that's a confusion. You got to destroy it. Yosser al ken yikayim. But if it's more than that, meaning it's only missing 40%, you can hold on to that coin as long as you deduct for that missing material. So according to Rav Huna, there is the same concern applies on both sides of the 50% mark. So let's take it step by step again. You have a full seller. It's missing a little bit, don't worry about it. Missing a 6th, that's no, you have to deduct for that missing part. It's missing a 5th. a quarter, a third, right? Right? Let's go all the way down to 50%. According to Rav Huna, there's confusion there. People might now think that this is a full, complete sellout. Sorry. People might, they'll think it's a complete sellout. You're going to mislead people. So you can't hold on to it. But once it gets to the 50% point, that's helpful. That is beneficial because now it's clearly evident that it's not a full seller. Rather, people will treat it like a shekel, which is a half a seller. But if it goes beyond 50%, it's missing more than 50%, then the concern kicks in again. Because now people won't realize that it's a rubbed out shekel, because as we said, it was a big, hefty coin to begin with. So they won't realize that it's missing something from the shekel, or treat it as a full shekel. So according to this opinion, on both sides of the 50% mark, you have a concern of confusion. Rav Ami says no. When it's missing more than 50%, you have this confusion, you have this room for concern that people might accept it as a full shekel. But if it's only missing 40%, 30%, it's pretty noticeable. It's a missing seller. No room for confusion. Next, here comes a kasha. Yisrael kain marcha b'shavya. Right, so we had this brisa before. If you go past that, you can sell it for its value. What does this mean? Missing more, Yisrael kain. My love shepachsa yosem mikdei yoinasa. We're assuming it means that it lost more than the yoinah, amount. Meaning it's missing more than a sixth. So anywhere between there and 50%, you're still okay as long as you deduct for that discrepancy. That's a kasha on this shita. So the no, lo yisera means that kanti lo pachsa mikdei yoinasa. The brayso meant like this: if it's full Yisrael kain, if the seller has more. Meaning it's not missing enough to be considered Ainah. It's missing less than Ainah. Mercha b'shav, you can sell it for its actual face value. Don't deduct anything. That's what the brayso meant. Okay, here comes a kasha. Meisvei, at kama tipoches v'hirasha l'kaima. B'sela. How much could the seller be missing and you can still keep it as a seller? Treat it as a seller. At shekel. Until it loses a shekel. Meaning until 50%. My lab, we're assuming the poches purta. That it was slowly got rubbed out, missing 10%, 12%, 20%, right? And you can still hold on to it. Apparently, it's okay as long as you're still, in safe territory. No, what happened was it dropped into the fire and melted. So basically, it went down from 100% to 50% in one shot. So that's okay. Now you can use it because, like we said, ironically, 50% is safer than 40% because 50% is evidently not a seller. It's a shekel, treat it as a shekel. But if it's only missing 30% or 40%, that perhaps triggers confusion. Let's go back to the halacha we said before. If it's missing too much, so you don't use it anymore. Yikvena, vitlana, b'tzavar b'noy, b'tzavar b'itoy, punch a hole into it and use it as an amulet. V'ramini, here comes a kasha. You should not keep it around as a weight. You shouldn't throw it amongst your scraps. You shouldn't use it as an amulet. Because ultimately you might end up, getting mixed up with your coins. You have to destroy it, or you have to grind it up, or melt it, or cut it up, or take it to Yam Melech. Out of reach. Sometimes puncturing it works, sometimes it doesn't. Like kasha, kam be'emtza. If you punch it through the middle, it's a point of no return, you're safe. Kam be'atzad. But the brayso is speaking where you punctured it on the side. So you can still trim it off, trim the perimeter off, and use it. Therefore, it's not a proper solution. Okay, so let's just summarize this piece of Gemara. A coin that's missing a drop, you're still okay. Once it gets to the point of Ainah, each one according to his respective shita, what constitutes a no. At that point, you have to deduct for that discrepancy. Once the seller drops to 50%, you're still okay. You can use it as a shekel. But past that, then it looks like a real shekel, but it's really a rubbed out shekel. She shouldn't use it. What if it's between a no and 50%? We had a machlekes amarayim. Now, once it gets past the no return point, you have to destroy it in a way that it's not going to run and come back into circulation. Next question: what's your time frame of coming back to complain? Ad masai mutalachser. Krachim, if you live in a large city, ad shiyar l'shulchani, with enough time to show it to the banker, past which you're forfeiting your refund rights. B'kfarim ad arba Shabbosos, in a small village, till Erev Shabbos, the market day. Asks the Gemara, Mashna besela de maflig. Why is it when it comes to determining, a noah by coins, we differentiate between, this place of residence and the other place of residence? U'mashna betas le maflig. When it comes to a garment, the items discussed until now in the Masechta, we didn't really differentiate between locations. We just gave you enough time to show it to an expert, and that's it. You're right, when the Mishnah speaks about a fellow having enough time to show it to an expert by a garment, it was referring to a fellow living in a city. But otherwise, you got to give him more time. Rav Amar, no. Talis, when it comes to a garment, kol inish kimle begava. Your typical person can easily determine the value of a garment. It doesn't take much, scientific knowledge. But Sela, when it comes to a coin, that's a finesse type of profession. Sela, given the lav kol inish kimle begava. Not everybody's an expert on coins. El shulchani, you have to go to the expert, to the shulchani. If you're in a large city, you have access to a banker. Fine, that's a fair time limit. Ashiyar l'shulchani, but if you're in a village, you don't have access to a bank. You have to give it to the market day when you can determine the value. Ad Irish Shabbos is the salkon l'shuka, everybody goes to the market. Now the fellow who passed on this coin, he still recognizes this as being his coin. Even after 12 months, he should take it back. What do you mean? Hey, where are we standing? In a city or a village? Ibekrachen, Ha'amr just said, it's not 12 months. Enough time to show it to the banker. Ibekvar, if you're in a village, Ha'amr Adav Shabbosos. Friday is the deadline. Why are we determining 12 months as the deadline? Amar Chizda, you're right. Strictly, halachically speaking, there's a short time frame. But midas chasidus shanukan, we're speaking about a fellow who's trying to be extra pious. If you recognize it, do him a favor, take it back. If that's the case, let's proceed to the next part of the Mishnah. All he has is complaints. Who's complaining to who? I thought he took it back. He's a tzaddik. Laman, who's he complaining to? Ila chassid. Who's complaining? Is the chassid complaining that you compelled him to take it back? You know what? Michael Toivas, who asked you to take it back? Don't take it back. Don't complain. If you want to take it back, do it happily. You know what? You shouldn't be accepting it back if you don't want to do that. Don't complain at him. Oh, so apparently the chassid did take it back happily. So who's complaining? The merchant who had originally received this coin. What do you mean? But you got your refund. After the chassid took it back, you're still complaining? What's going on? It means like this. Yeah. You have an exceptional, fellow here. Yeah, of course I'll take it back. But an ordinary person who perhaps does not subscribe to Midas Chasidus, even if he refuses to take it back from you, he knows it says he still will not take it back. That's it. No recourse. You can't compel him. All you can do is complain. You have a coin that's missing substantially. You can still use it for chilul maser sheni. So you have maser sheni produce. You can transfer the kedusha on this money, as long as you deduct for the missing amount, because typically people will accept coins. It's your one-off fellow who won't do that, so legally it's still considered currency. Amar Papa Shmamino, we learn from this Mishnah, Haiman the Moikim Azuzi, a person who gives a hard time when it comes to accepting money, Mikri Nefesh Ra, he's given this exceptional title Nefesh Ra. V'ani Milihu Desagalu, provided that the coin can still be used in the market and still accepted as currency, then you shouldn't be giving the fellow a hard time. Mesayel the Chizkiah, this will be a right to Chizkiah, who considers this type of coin to be valid. Damar Chizkiah, Boilo Parta B'Shavya. So let's say a person has money which is Maser Sheni money, he's trying to switch it for pennies. So Parta B'Shavya, you switch it based on its actual value. But on the other hand, when you're initially transferring your banana, your kedusha onto this money, you look at it as though it's a perfect coin. Now, what's going on? What does he mean to say? How could you, dance on both sides of the coin, so to speak? Is it or is it not? Hachikam means like this. Although, although when you exchange it, when you break down your coin, you switch it for your prutos, for your pennies, you have to discount for its missing, let's say it's missing a sixth, right? A substantial amount. You have to deduct for that. But initially, when you do chilul of the peiros onto this money, just ignore the fact that it's missing value. Mechallah b'yav, you treat it as though it's a perfect coin. How can you do that? L'meimra. So the kasha was, how can he say perta b'shavya? You ignore the fact that it's missing? My God, what does he mean to say? So the answer is like this. Of course, when you pirate it, you only get its actual value. If it's missing something of its material, you have to deduct for that. But when it comes to chilul, you ignore the fact that it's missing something. Really? V'amar Chizkiah told us, Maser Sheni She'emo Sheva Pruta. Sorry, L'meimra the Savar Chizkiah. Does Chizkiah mean to say the Mizalza Lila? We could just do away. We can just cut corners, so to speak. The Mizalza Lila Maser Sheni. So even though it's not a full coin, we treat it as such. V'amar Chizkiah tells us otherwise. Maser Sheni. Let's say a person has a very small quantity of Maser Sheni fruit, and we know that we need at least a pruta worth of material to trigger to activate the chilul, the transfer process onto the money. So let's say you have less than that. What do you do? Maser Sheni she'emo sheva pruta. I'll say like this. Yesterday I already did chilul on from a different fruit onto this coin here. Chances are, I was extra careful. I didn't fill up the entire coin. I left some margin for error, right? Let's say you had a $10 coin. I was only mechal $8 of fruit just in case it's really worth more. So a person is meant to be careful while conducting Maser Sheni transactions. So now, a day later, he's stuck with only less than a pruta of fruit. He says, you know what? I can be pretty confident that in yesterday's chilul, I still left some, available, balance in that money, which was not yet filled, and I'll use that. I'll fill that with today's fruit. So today's fruit with the chaimish, with the fifth that I have to add to the chilul, mechulul al mois or rishonos, will now be transferred to the yesterday's money. Typically, a person does not do an exact transaction, so there's still some left over for today. Bottom line, people are careful, extra conscientious. You don't just cut corners when it comes to Maser Sheni. So what does it mean that you can just treat it as a full, when it's a rubbed out coin, you can treat it as my biyafa b'teres yaf? Just the opposite. He says like this, that although when you are being pirate, let's say you have this rubbed out coin, you're going to change it for pennies, you only get as much as material as there is in this sellout, actual value. When it comes to chilul, you have to take another step back. My biyafa b'teres yaf. He treated b'teres yaf, Rashi says b'shavya, as actual value, which means like this. Bottom line, when you take this rubbed out coin and you try to use it in the market, people will shy away and will deduct a little bit more than they're actually meant to deduct. Because look, it's a missing coin. So that's how you have to treat it when you do chilul Maser Sheni, b'teres yaf. Right? So don't use its full amount, its full value. Even after deducting if you'll allow some deduction for the missing material, it's not enough. You have to go even below that. The trey zili loy mizalzalin be. Try again. The trey zili loy mizalzalin be. Right, because we don't want to apply two leniencies when it comes to Maser Sheni. As it is, you're using this less than perfect coin. On top of that, you're going to be, taking full advantage. No, you have to leave a little bit more leeway and deduct a little bit more, which is typically what people do when they deal with these coins. Okay, bottom line, we sort of recapped the Amud Aleph already. We have the halachas of Eino by coins, we have the Shir of Eino, we have the 50% mark, we have past 50% mark, and what you meant to do with coins that are misleading, you meant to destroy them, and we have the deadline when it comes to requesting a refund, depending where you live, and finally we had the halacha of the chassid, the idea of the chassid, who's willing to accept it back at any time, and then we discussed how to deal with imperfect coins vis-a-vis Maser Sheni. All the best to you and Atzlacha Rabbah.